All right, so we are finally going to open this Flash Gordon figure that I've had sitting on the back of my couch for a while, and it is Prince Vultan, the ultimate action figure from Neca. And where's the see Neca? That's that's what the top of the box looks like. Flash Gordon, Prince Vultan, ultimate action figure. And here's the artwork on the back. You got a few pictures of the figure, some cross-cell art with Sam J. Jones as Flash Gordon and Ming the Merciless as excellently portrayed by Max von Sydow. And of course, Brian Blessed was the actor that played Prince Vultan. So out of these three figures, this is the one I was looking forward to the most. And it's not just because I like the character of Prince Vultan or I like the actor Brian Blessed, although both of those things are true. But I've been buying these NECA Flash Gordon figures for a while now. And mostly they make, Flash and Ming, and that's it. So finally we have a third character that can go with our Flash Gordon and our Ming figures. So of course he was the one that I wanted the most. Now I am planning on, when the opportunity arrives, whenever I'm able to find them and I have the money, I will pick up Sam J. Jones and Max von Sydow. I do want to have those figures. But if I could only have one of these NECA movie figures, it would be Prince Vultan that I would pick because, like I said, I've got figures of Flash Gordon and I've got figures of Ming already. So if I didn't get, the movie versions of Flash and Ming, at least I've got them represented by, animated versions or comic strip versions or what have you. But this is probably the only Vultan they're going to put out. They're probably not going to put out a comic strip version of Vultan or anything like that. So let's go ahead and read the bio on the back. It says, when it's not really his bio specifically, but it's just kind of a blurb about the movie. When Earth is threatened by an intergalactic evil, star quarterback Flash Gordon embarks on a daring quest to save his home from the cruel machinations of Ming the Merciless. Aided by unexpected allies, Flash and his friends battle Ming and his henchmen in an adventure beyond imagination. And then it says it includes helmet, mace, ice crystal jewel, remote control, and interchangeable heads and hands. And when we open them up, you got a lovely picture of Vultan action figure flying towards us. And then there's the action figure itself. It's a little hard to see because of all the packaging there. But don't worry, we're about to get it open in just a second. But he does indeed have three separate heads and a helmet and a hairpiece and a lot of other stuff. So let's go ahead. Let's not waste any more time and open them up. I do want to say this packaging is quite nice. It's got lots of they put all the bells and whistles on this package. When they say this is an ultimate action figure, they're trying to show that off. And also one other thing I want to mention is the person who designed this Flash Gordon logo, which was actually designed, I think, originally for the soundtrack and then used it on the poster and other things. Freddie Mercury himself designed this logo. Yeah, Freddie Mercury, before he was a rock star, went to college for graphic design, and he actually designed, I think, a lot of Queen's album covers, if not all of Queen's album covers. So I know, like, he drew the covers for A Night at the Opera and A Day at the Races. Like, he actually drew those, and he drew this. He drew this Flash Gordon logo. So that's pretty cool. Nice little connection back to, one of the best things I think about the Flash Gordon movie was the soundtrack by Queen. And so it's nice to have the logo that Freddie designed on there as an acknowledgement of that. So now that I have the figure on the package, we can see the backdrop in there, and it's an extension of the picture that we have here, which is really cool. So it almost works all as one picture. His wings kind of cut off, but it's the background with the Hawkmen flying into battle. Squadron 14, dive! So let's go ahead and let's get this out of the way too while we're at it. Gordon's alive? Go ahead, if you made it to this point in the video, leave a Gordon's alive in the comments. So, all right, so here is one of the heads, and you can see these are like these funky shaped heads because they're meant to hold the helmet and the hairpiece. They only have like one helmet and one hairpiece to go around. Now, I've been critical about Hasbro in the past doing this sort of thing with GI Joe figures, but I kind of don't mind it with Vultan here because like he doesn't just come with a hairpiece and a helmet to go on one head. He comes with like four different heads. So to me, they already went the extra mile and made extra heads. So if they want to cut a little cost by having the hairpiece be separate, that's fine. And man, the tough part is going to be figuring out which one of these heads I want to display with the figure. So all of them, I think, capture the over the top quality that Brian Blessed brought to the role. Brian Blessed, of course, is a very prolific actor who's been in a lot of genre stuff. He's been on Doctor Who. He's been in Star Wars. He was in Star Wars Episode 1. He did the voice of Boss Nass. He was in Disney's Tarzan as the voice of the villain, Clayton, who oddly enough shares a name with Tarzan. So I was expecting a plot twist where it turned out that Clayton was Tarzan's cousin. You know, Tarzan's real name in the books being John Clayton, Lord Greystoke, but they never really did anything with that. I figure it's probably something they were going to do at some point, but just whatever reason left it out, and still his name was left in there vestigially. So here's the ice crystal of Phrygia, which was going to be Prince Baron's tribute to Ming, but Vultan stole it. But it's not the ice crystal of Aboria, it's the ice crystal of Phrygia. So how did Baron get the damn thing in the first place? Huh? He probably stole it from Queen Azura, who is not a character in the movie, but she's a character in the comic strip, and she's a character in the second movie serial, Flash Gordon's Trip to Mars. And she was the Queen of Phrygia, and or was that? Oh, am I getting them confused? I think I might be getting them confused. I think I might be confusing the Queen in Flash Gordon's Trip to Mars with the Queen in Flash Gordon Conquers the Universe. It's been a while since I watched those. But anyway, she was the Queen of Phrygia, and they probably stole that from her in the first place. And poor old Prince Thun, he's killed in that opening. He's such a major character in the comic strip, but gets killed off in the first scene he's in the movie. Too bad. And here is this really cool cudgel, mace, whatever you want to call it. What do they call it on the box again? Yeah, they call it a mace on the box. I think it's more of a cudgel. But then again, I just like saying the word cudgel. So, but you can see it's got like a kind of a vaguely bird head shape to it. Very well designed. Got a nasty little claw at the end here. It looks like it's almost supposed to be kind of a hand guard, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit the hand into that thing. He's using it as a hand guard here. You can see, but it doesn't look. He's using it. He might be using. Yeah, he's using it as a hand guard on there. I think I should be able to fit his hand in there, but I don't know. I'm kind of worried about it. It seems like it might be kind of delicate, but it does seem like it's out of a pliable kind of plastic. So we should be able to work it around his hand. It should be fine. So we got to set that down. And then the remote control, which I never really gotten too good a look at the remote control in the movie. And I never realized it actually has a little model of the platform that Flash and Baron are fighting on. So that's pretty neat. So set that aside. And I believe that's all the loose pieces that are in here. And he does look like he has some of the damnable rubber tabs, but just around his ankles. Oh, and where are all his hands? He's supposed to have extra hands. They all fell out of the package. So that's why I missed them. because they all came loose. All right, so let's go ahead and get Vultan himself out of here. And he's got these wings, and he's got like a little piece of plastic in between the wings, and it looks like I might have dropped those hands on the floor. I should have picked those out to begin with. So he's got one other hand that's here. Here's the one hand that actually stayed in the package. And it looks like the other hands must have fallen in the floor. No, wait, they fell into my shirt. How strange. All right, so it looks like there were two alternate gripping hands. And I got them both, I think. I hope I got them both anyway. Does it say how many extra hands? It does not say how many extra hands. So I believe there are two extra hands. So we're going to go ahead and just assume there are two extra hands. And there is the fourth head, the one that actually came on the figure. All of these are excellent likenesses. He's a wonderful Shakespearean actor and very loud, says Crazy Hungarian. Yes, he is. Blackadder, that was another thing that I remember seeing Brian Blessed on and really enjoyed him. He's on the first season of Blackadder, which is, you know, not my favorite season of Blackadder, but it has Brian Blessed on it, so he's one of the bright spots on that. I don't remember if he appeared in any of the other seasons of Blackadder, but he was a regular on the first season, I think. So yeah, and the helmet comes off. In theory, let's see if we can get it off. There we go. So we can put the hair onto whatever head we want to, and put the helmet onto whatever head we want to. So there he is with the hair. And he does have like a little bit of hair in the back, because I guess you want a little bit of hair to be visible when he's got the helmet on. Let's put the helmet on this head so we can see what we're talking about. And then we can see it unencumbered, so we don't have the wings in the way. And then I'll talk about these wings for a little bit. So yeah, here he is with it's supposed to click into place. There we go. So that's what the helmet looks like on this head. Oops, sorry. So that's a good look. That might be one I wound up leaving on there. But yeah, that way you got a little bit of hair where it's visible, just barely. So we'll set that aside for now. So his wings are on a simple pivot, and we can see they're on kind of like this plank that's set up on his back. And the wings are golden, and they're like just got some dry brushing over it. It looks like they probably painted it in gold, and then I think it looks more like a wash, actually. Put a black wash over it. So it looks very much like the wings in the movie, where they have that kind of bronzish look to them. Very cool. And then his armor, very detailed, with lots of little leather feathery looking things, and some of them are painted gold, I guess, to give it a little more emphasis. Put the emphasis on the wrong syllable. He's got like an emblem on his chest. I don't know how well I'm going to be able to get that to focus in, but it's got two wings on it that are crossed across each other. And then he has this emblem on his belt buckle that looks like this kind of the stars like you see on the Mongo people a lot. So he's got a similar sort of star on his helmet. It's a six-pointed star with a bird flying over it, kind of a vague wing shape. And he does not have wings on his helmet, which traditionally in the comic strip, Vultan had wings on his helmet. But these look, if they are wings, they're like very stylized Art Deco looking wings. But to me, they look almost more like a three-dimensional representation of a lightning bolt. He's got a fin down the back of his helmet, which has got this kind of jagged look to it, and then it kind of curls up at the bottom there. This is a very Alex Raymond looking helmet. This looks a lot like the way that he would have drawn Vultan's helmet in the comic strip. So I'm going to take this head off so the heads all come off. I'm not going to display it with all the heads, but I do want to just show how the heads are interchangeable. So we can pop the new head on there. And I think that's probably going to be the one that I'm going to leave on there. So he looks really cool. Let's go over the articulation a little bit. He looks up about that far. He looks down about that far. Head rotates all the way around, although with the helmet, that does kind of hinder it slightly, but you can still get it to go all the way around. He can kind of tilt his head quizzically to the side. that's cool. Like I said, the wings are articulated, but only kind of up and down like that. That's what you can. No back and forth. He can't flap his wings, but he can. You can pose them so that they're splayed out, or if he's just standing around, have them be down beside him. The arms, uh, theoretically, should rotate all the way around, but of course, the wings and the shoulder armor are going to kind of get in the way. But they do, in the academic sense, his arms rotate all the way around, and his arms move up about that far. They are not at all hindered by this armor. They only move up about as far as the armor goes. The armor is very pliable. I could get his arms to move up further if they could actually move up further. The armor isn't hindering that at all. So he's got a single joint at the elbow. Got a good range of articulation there, better than 90 degrees. And of course, the arm rotates all the way around at the elbow. But since it's at an angle, it's not going to bend all the way backwards. But that's an unnatural angle anyway, so who cares? Wrists rotate all the way around, and they have a horizontal, at least on these, have a horizontal. I'm going to be careful with this because Neca wrists can be delicate. They have a horizontal hinge there, and it looks like it's the same on the gripping hands. They also have a horizontal hinge. By the way, I call those the gripping hands, but I'm pretty sure this is the only hand that can grip the remote control since it's rather big and chunky. So if you want to have him hold the remote control, he needs to have the open hands. And you can see how tight those gripping hands are going to be. You would not be able to fit that remote control in there, and even if you did, it would stretch the hands out, and I wouldn't recommend it. But he can hold the remote control with this hand, so that's fine. Go ahead and set that aside now. He's got some cool chest articulation, like we often see from Neca or McFarlane toys. It's that same similar sort of thing. But on mine, it seems like it's pretty stiff. And even if it weren't, the joints themselves weren't stiff, he's got like all this, kind of rubber armor over his body, and it is pliable, so you can get some movement out of it. There, I think I finally popped it out of joint, but it's only going to move so far. You can only really move it so far. You can kind of tilt from side to side pretty well. I got it to move back, and I can get it to move forward, but always that rubber armor is gonna hinder it somewhat. But how much range of motion do you really need out of Vultan's torso? You can get about as good of range of motion, I think, as you could ask for. So it's a decent enough range of motion for this character, I think. And you can still get some pretty dramatic poses out of them. It looks like the armor actually tucks into the lower part of the suit. I actually kind of pulled it loose, so that's something to be careful of. Just make sure, if you move them around too much and it pops out, you can pop it back in. So, but it is permanently attached here at the back. So I guess they took that into account and made it so that it would be easier for you to move them, even with the rubber armor. It's still going to hinder it somewhat, but not as much as I thought it would at first. Leg moves up about that far. He's got this rubber trunk piece, and it hangs down pretty low. That's accurate to the cut of his trunks in the movie. So yeah, he can only move his legs about so far. But it's not like they made this guy a throne to sit on anyway. So I think you could probably get him to sit on if you wanted to give him a throne. I think you could probably get him to sit on a throne fairly well. But of course, you're going to have his wings spread out like that. I think that his throne in the movie just didn't even have a back, if I remember correctly. But yeah, so got a single joint of articulation at the knee, bends down about that far, and rotates all the way around. But again, like with the elbows, it's at an angle, so he can only bend his knee up backwards about that far. But if you can even bend your knee like that, your leg is broken. You need to go to the hospital. So he does have some ankle articulation, so his ankle points down about that far and points up about that far. It is on kind of a rocker joint, but it's not like the McFarlane ball joints, so it doesn't give you that much of a range of motion. But it does give you a little bit more of a range of motion. Here's a good pose for him, kind of hovering there a little bit, kind of flapping with his wings, you can imagine. So pretty cool. Let's go ahead and get one of these gripping hands on there so I can have him holding his mace. And since I pulled off the right hand, just instinctively, we'll do the right hand. And I will point out that the right hand is a much tighter grip than the left hand. The left hand is a little bit more of a loose grip. So I think the intention is this is the hand, this is the right hand, is the hand that's supposed to hold the mace, and the left hand is a gripping hand, as if you want to have him gripping the other end of it like in a two-handed grip. But for me, you can still get that point across with the open hand, so I'm not even gonna bother with it. I'm just gonna get this into the. Oh, and he could probably hold. He would probably need the open hands to hold the crystal of Phrygia, but kind of hold it in between both hands. That would be the way to do that. So I'm gonna, since like I said, this is kind of a the handguard is kind of a pliable rubber piece. I'm gonna put it into his hands at the narrow spot, and then kind of pull it down over his hand. Then I'm gonna kind of wrap the handguard around his hand, and I think that has a really effective look to it. We can have him like swinging back his mace to attack. And oh, look who it is. It's Ming the Merciless. So he's flying down to attack Ming. Pretty cool, huh? Like I said, I don't have the movie Ming yet, but I do have the Defenders of the Earth Ming, which I think is awesome. It's my personal favorite Ming figure that Neca has made so far. Who knows? Maybe when I get the movie version of Ming, that might actually top it, but I doubt it because he's just so freaking cool. I love this Ming. This is my favorite Ming. And then we can see him with his ally, Flash Gordon. And again, don't have the movie version of Flash Gordon yet, but we can see him with the comic strip version from original superheroes. And they still work together really well, I think. I think that the great thing about these Flash Gordon figures is that this is across like 3 different media. Okay, this is supposed to be the comic strip version, and of course it's heavily inspired by the Filmation animated version. But of course that was Ming fell over. That was based on the comic strip. So this is a comic strip Flash Gordon, and then I have another Flash Gordon here. This is the actual Defenders of the Earth Flash Gordon. We can get a look at him real quick. But you know, all 3 of these, with the Filmation cartoon and the Defenders of the Earth cartoon and the Flash Gordon movie, all 3 of these drew so heavily on the artwork of Alex Raymond and that particular aesthetic that I feel like you can have all 3 of these characters interact from across 3 different media. You got a comic strip, you got a cartoon show, and you got a live action movie. This guy wasn't even drawn in pen and ink, but he still looks comic strip enough, you know. And Vultan was actually one of the ones that I kind of feel like they took a few more liberties with him. Like in the comic strip, Vultan was a little more of like a Greco-Roman look with this breastplate and this tunic, and the helmet was kind of a Viking inspired thing. But this one is like a straight up barbarian looking character. Like if he didn't have his wings, he would fit right in with like next to Conan, like that kind of barbarian looking character. So he's really cool. I really like this Vultan figure. I'm really happy to finally have another character besides Ming and Flash in my Flash Gordon line. I'm psyched about that. So hopefully this line will be successful enough they can continue. I mean, like, I know you always want to have like a Flash and a Ming on the shelf for this line because those are your marquee characters. But they had several different outfits that they wore in these movies. You could have like Flash in his t-shirt and khakis from the beginning of the movie, or even with the members only jacket over it. You could have Flash in the trunks that he wore in the execution scene. Maybe make the manacles and the funky spiked helmet as accessories to go with it. You could make Flash in the pilot uniform that he had with the more military looking jacket. Ming was kind of a clothes horse in this movie. You could have him with the robes and all kinds of different things. So like there's different options that you would have for Flash and Ming if you insist on having more figures of those characters. But man, I would really like to have Baron, Zarkov. You know, we got to have the ladies in here at some point. I want figures of Dale. I want figures of Princess Aura. Princess Aura is like one of my favorite characters. I would love to have a figure of her. But yeah, Vultan is just badass. Like, really captures the personality, the very big, over the top personality of Brian Blessed and this wonderful character that he played. I remember seeing an interview with him. It was probably in the documentary that they made about the Flash Gordon movie, and he was talking about when he was a kid. They, you know, him and the other kids in the neighborhood, they were all big fans of the Flash Gordon comic strip and the movie serial, and they would go and play Flash Gordon out in their backyards and in the street and whatever. And he would often, when he was a kid, play as being Prince Vultan, and then he got to in the actual movie be Prince Vultan. So that's really cool. It's nice that he was a fan of the character, like, even before he played him, which was not that common, you know, back in those old days. So just the fact that he was like, oh yeah, I've always loved this character and always really wanted to play him, like, that was something that I thought was really cool. Let's get a look at him next to since we haven't got, there's him next to the Defenders of the Earth version, and of course that one has a little bit more of a militaristic feel to it with the epaulets than the more diesel punk version that we got with the original Superheroes iteration of the character. I like them both, though. I think they're both really cool. Like, if I had to pick one, I think I'd just pick the Superheroes version, just because that's that purely classic Alex Raymond look. But I do really like the Defenders of the Earth uniform. I think that's really sharp. But Ming, absolutely my favorite Ming is the Defenders of the Earth Ming. And if you're only going to get one Ming, this is the one to get, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, the original Superheroes one is cool. It looks more like the Filmation cartoon and whatnot. Oh, I forgot. I also had the version they made as an homage to the 3 3/4 inch Mattel version, so we might as well see them too. And he's kind of naked looking. Because of the way that they made the Mattel version, his skin is the same color as his jumpsuit, so that's kind of creepy. Like, allegedly this was based on the Filmation cartoon, but he did not wear tan in the Filmation cartoon. Sorry. So that's pretty much it for King Vultan. I think he's a really neat figure with a lot of really neat accessories and special features, and I just knocked so I had him up here too, film Flashpoint Batman. Just knocked him on the ground. Sorry, Thomas. But yeah, definitely I highly recommend this. Like even if you're not planning on even if you're just like maybe like a purist of the comic strip versions of the figures, I would still recommend picking up Vultan, since who knows if they'll ever make a comic strip version of Vultan. And I think this is still gonna fit in with those other figures. And if you enjoyed this review, please make sure that you like and subscribe, all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this figure and the character of Prince Vultan in general. I know he is definitely one of the more popular characters in this movie, and like anytime, even in the most mixed of company, that the subject of the 1980 Flash Gordon movie comes up, every single time somebody at some point will be like, "Gordon's alive?" That's got to be like the most famous line from this whole movie. And there's a lot of really good quotable lines, but that's the one that everybody remembers for some reason. I think it's more just to do with honestly with Brian Blessed's delivery of it, because like I could see in the hands of a lesser actor that just being like, just kind of a throwaway line, but he took it and made something out of it. So anyway, that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. We will talk to you next time. Bye.